Every result in your life today is the outcome of the habits you have practiced for years, whether you are aware of them or not. The way you wake up, how you spend your mornings, how you deal with stress, what you eat, how you treat people, how much you learn. All of these small repeated actions have quietly shaped your reality. This is why changing your habits is the fastest way to change your future. You cannot expect a new life while living with the same old patterns. It's like planting apple seeds and expecting mangoes to grow. The seeds you plant daily determine the fruit you will harvest later. Habits are powerful because they operate almost automatically. You don't have to remind yourself to brush your teeth. You do it without thinking because it's part of your identity. The same is true for bad habits. Scrolling on your phone for hours, complaining instead of acting, skipping exercise, spending without budgeting. These things happen on autopilot because they have been reinforced over time. The danger is that habits can work for you or against you. If they are bad, they will slowly pull you away from your goals without you noticing. If they are good, they will carry you toward success even when you are tired or unmotivated. This is why the 21-day success plan focuses on building habits that shape the future you want. Changing a habit starts with awareness. You must first identify the habits that are not serving you. Many people underestimate how much damage small negative habits do over time. Drinking sugary drinks every day might not hurt you tomorrow, but over years it affects your health. Avoiding challenges might feel comfortable today, but in the long run, it limits your opportunities. Once you identify these patterns, you can replace them with habits that align with your goals. This replacement is important because habits leave gaps. If you simply try to stop a habit without replacing it, your mind will search for something else to fill the space and it may go back to the old behavior. The reason 21 days is a powerful time frame is that it's long enough to break the old mental association and start forming a new one. The first few days feel unnatural because your brain is used to the old way. But as you repeat the new behavior consistently, the brain begins to accept it as normal. For example, if you want to start waking up early, the first 3 mornings will feel like a struggle. By the second week, your body starts adjusting. By the third week, waking up early no longer feels like a punishment. It becomes part of your identity. And once a habit is tied to your identity, it becomes much harder to break because you no longer say, "I'm trying to wake up early." You say, "I am an early riser." One of the most effective strategies for building new habits is to start small and grow gradually. People often fail because they try to change too much too quickly. If you have never exercised, trying to do 2 hours at the gym every day is a recipe for burnout. Instead, stop with 15 minutes of walking daily for the first week. Once that feels normal, increase it. The same applies to learning. Instead of committing to read an entire book in one sitting, read 10 pages a day. Small wins build confidence, and confidence builds consistency. Over time, these small actions compound into massive results, just like how small investments grow through compound interest. Your environment plays a big role in shaping your habits. If you want to eat healthier, keep junk food out of your house. If you want to read more, place books where you can see them easily. If you want to be more productive, remove distractions from your workspace. Habits are not only about willpower. They are about designing your surroundings so that good habits are easy to follow and bad habits are hard to continue. The less energy you need to start a habit, the more likely you are to stick with it. This is why people who work out regularly often keep their gym clothes ready the night before. It removes friction and makes the habit almost automatic. Another key factor in building habits is consistency over intensity. It's better to do something small every day than to do something big occasionally. If you meditate for 5 minutes daily, it will have more impact than meditating for 1 hour once a week. The brain learns through repetition, and the more often you repeat an action, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. Think of it like walking through grass. The first time you walk, the grass stands back up. But if you walk the same path every day, it becomes a clear trail. The same happens with habits. Repetition makes the path easier to follow until it becomes the default route for your actions. Accountability can also help in habit formation. When you share your goals with someone and update them on your progress, you create external motivation. This could be a friend, a mentor, or a group with similar goals. Humans naturally want to be consistent with what they have committed to publicly. If you say you will exercise daily and someone is watching your progress, you will feel more pressure to follow through. This is why group challenges or coaching programs are effective. They provide both structure and accountability. It's also important to remember that building habits is not a straight line. There will be days when you feel tired, busy, or unmotivated. Missing one day is not failure, but missing several days in a row can break the chain. The key is to never miss twice. If you slip up, get back on track immediately. This mindset prevents a small setback from turning into a complete return to old habits. Over time, you will develop resilience, the ability to keep going even when things are not perfect. This resilience is what turns a temporary habit into a permanent lifestyle change. When you intentionally shape your habits, you take control of your future. Instead of living on autopilot, you decide the patterns that guide your life. Every habit you build is like laying a brick toward the house you want to live in. The more bricks you lay in the right direction, the sooner you create the life you've been dreaming about. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's the daily choice to act in alignment with the person you want to become. And when you repeat those choices for 21 days and beyond, your habits stop being something you do. They become who you are. Most people think that success starts with a big opportunity, a new business idea, or a lucky break. But the truth is, success begins with something far less glamorous. The fight with your own lazy self. This is the first and hardest battle you will ever face. You see, your biggest enemy is not your competitors, not the economy, not even lack of resources. Your biggest enemy is your own comfort zone. Comfort feels nice in the moment, but it quietly kills your potential. It whispers, "Stay where you are. Don't push too hard. Tomorrow is fine." And when you listen to that voice too often, tomorrow never comes. The habit of delay becomes your lifestyle. And before you know it, years have passed without any real change. When you start anything new, whether it's a business, a skill, or a fitness routine, the first week is always the most difficult. Not because the task is too hard, but because your mind is not used to the discomfort. You have spent years training yourself to follow patterns that feel safe. If you wake up at 8 miles every day, your body will resist a 6 a.m. start. If you spend your evenings scrolling through social media, your brain will crave that dopamine instead of reading or learning. It's like trying to turn a heavy ship. The initial push requires enormous effort. This is where most people fail, not because they cannot do it, but because they are not willing to endure the temporary pain of change. The first 7 days of change are like telling your brain, "We are going in a new direction," and your brain replying, "No, we're not." Your brain will find excuses. You're too tired. You don't have time. You can start next week. It's not the right moment. It will even make you feel uncomfortable on purpose. So you quit and go back to what is familiar. This is why discipline is more important than motivation in the beginning. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings change. Discipline is a decision, and decisions create change. When you say, "I will wake up early no matter what," and you follow through, you are building mental muscles. Just like in the gym, the first repetitions are the hardest, but they are the ones that make you stronger. Winning against your lazy self means creating a system that makes it hard to fail. If you want to wake up earlier, put your alarm clock across the room so you must get out of bed to turn it off. If you want to read in the morning, keep the book on your pillow at night so it's the first thing you see. If you want to exercise, prepare your workout clothes before going to bed. These small actions remove friction from good habits and increase friction for bad ones. Your lazy self thrives on easy access to comfort. Take that away and it becomes weaker. One of the most powerful ways to beat laziness is to commit publicly. Tell your friends or family about your goal or post it online. When others know what you are trying to achieve, you feel accountable. Laziness loves privacy because there's no consequence when you quit in silence. But when you put your commitment out into the world, quitting becomes harder because it's not just about you anymore. It's about your word and your reputation. Another method is to track your progress daily. A simple checklist where you mark every day you followed your plan can be incredibly motivating. Over time, you will not want to break the chain of progress you've built. It's also important to understand that laziness is often a mask for fear. You may delay action not because you don't want to work, but because you are afraid of failing or even afraid of succeeding. Laziness keeps you in the safety of "I could do it if I tried," because trying and failing would remove that excuse. To overcome this, you must remind yourself that progress is more important than perfection. The goal is not to do everything perfectly. The goal is to start and keep going. Every small action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. When you choose action over comfort, even in tiny steps, you are casting a vote for your future self. During this battle with your lazy self, reward systems can also help. Your brain likes rewards, so give yourself something to look forward to after completing a difficult task. It could be something simple like a good cup of coffee after your workout, or 10 minutes of your favorite activity after a study session. This trains your brain to associate effort with pleasure rather than discomfort. Over time, the effort itself becomes the reward because you begin to enjoy the feeling of growth and progress. But in the early days, small external rewards can make the process easier to stick with. One more thing to remember is that your environment matters a lot. If you are surrounded by people who are lazy, unmotivated, and always looking for shortcuts, their mindset will slowly influence you. You must intentionally place yourself in environments where hard work, learning, and discipline are normal. This could mean joining a group of like-minded people, attending workshops, or even just following inspiring people online. Energy is contagious. Surround yourself with the right energy, and your lazy self will find it harder to survive. When you fight against your lazy self and win, something powerful happens. You start to trust yourself. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. You no longer doubt whether you can follow through on your commitments because you have proven it to yourself. And once you have this trust, you are unstoppable. You realize that discipline is not the punishment. It's the highest form of self-respect. You stop negotiating with your old habits and start leading yourself with clarity and purpose. At that point, you don't just overcome laziness. You transform it into unstoppable momentum that pushes you toward your goals every single day. Do you know what the biggest enemy of success is? It's not failure. It's comfort. Comfort keeps you in the same place while the world moves forward. I have met thousands of people who want to change their lives. They have dreams. They have ideas. But when I ask them, "What are you doing about it?" they say, "I'll start tomorrow," and tomorrow never comes. Today, I want to share something that is simple but powerful. The 21 Days Success Plan. Why 21 Days Science and experience both tell us that 21 days is long enough to build a habit, but short enough to keep you committed. Most people wait for the moment when they feel completely ready before they take action. But that moment rarely comes. Waiting for the perfect timing is often just another form of fear disguised as preparation. If you have built discipline, developed good habits, and surrounded yourself with the right environment, the next step is to use that momentum to take bold action. Even if you feel nervous or uncertain, growth does not happen inside your comfort zone. It happens the moment you step beyond it and do something that challenges you in a way you cannot easily reverse. Taking bold action does not mean being reckless. It means taking a step that stretches your limits and forces you to grow. It could be applying for a job you think is slightly out of reach, starting the business you have been planning for years, presenting your ideas in front of people who can challenge them, or reaching out to someone who can mentor you. These actions are uncomfortable because they come with the possibility of rejection, criticism, or failure. But they are also the actions that can change the entire direction of your life. Without taking these leaps, you remain in the same safe circle you've always known, repeating the same results you've always had. The reason taking bold action is so powerful is that it forces you to confront fear directly. Fear feeds on inaction. The more you avoid the thing you're afraid of, the bigger it grows in your mind. But when you face it, you often realize it's not as dangerous as you imagine. For example, many people fear public speaking, but the moment they actually stand on a stage and speak, they discover they can survive it, and even enjoy it. Every time you take bold action, you shrink the size of your fears and expand the size of your confidence. This process builds a kind of mental armor that makes future challenges easier to face. Momentum plays a huge role here. When you have been consistent with your habits for weeks, your confidence and energy levels are higher. You feel more capable because you have already proven to yourself that you can follow through on commitments. This is the perfect time to take a leap. Too often, people waste their momentum by staying in preparation mode, endlessly improving their plans without acting. The danger with waiting too long is that the momentum fades and you have to start over from scratch. Bold action locks in your progress by translating it into real-world results. Another important aspect of taking bold action is that it attracts opportunities you cannot find by playing safe. Many doors only open when you show the courage to knock on them. Employers notice people who are willing to step forward. Clients trust those who take initiative. Leaders are drawn to those who can make decisions in uncertain situations. Even if your bold move does not work exactly as planned, it often leads to unexpected connections or learning experiences that benefit you later. Playing small keeps you invisible. Taking bold steps makes you visible to people who can help you grow. Bold action also creates a new standard for yourself. Once you have taken one courageous step, the next one feels less intimidating. For example, if you have never posted your ideas online, the first post feels like a huge risk. But after you do it once, the second time is easier, and by the 10th time, it feels natural. This compounding effect builds a lifestyle where taking calculated risk becomes part of your normal behavior. Over time, you stop waiting for the right moment and start creating the right moments yourself. That is when you become a proactive creator of your future instead of a passive observer of your circumstances. There is also a psychological shift that happens when you act before you feel ready. You start to see yourself as someone who is capable of doing hard things. This identity shift is crucial because it changes the way you approach every challenge. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" you begin to ask, "How can I do this?" That small change in wording signals a completely different mindset. One is filled with doubt and hesitation. The other is focused on problem-solving and persistence. This mindset is what separates those who keep dreaming from those who achieve their dreams. It's worth noting that bold action does not guarantee instant success. In fact, sometimes it will lead to failure. But failure after bold action is far more valuable than failure after doing nothing. When you failure from taking action, you gain data, experience, and insight that you can use to improve. You also build resilience, the ability to get back up and try again. Each failure brings you closer to the strategy that will work. People who take bold action consistently tend to succeed over time, not because they never fail, but because they learn faster than those who avoid risk altogether. To make bold action a consistent habit, it helps to lower the emotional weight of the decision. Instead of thinking this is the one chance I have to prove myself, see it as this is one of many steps I would take on my journey. This perspective makes it easier to act because the pressure is not overwhelming. It also reminds you that bold action is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice. You take one leap, learn from it, then take another. Each time expanding your capacity and your comfort zone. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage boldness can also make a difference. When you see others taking risks and winning, it inspires you to do the same. It normalizes the idea that failure is just feedback and that courage is rewarded. On the other hand, being around people who constantly play it safe reinforces the habit of hesitation. This is why your environment and community are so important. They can either fuel your boldness or drain it. Ultimately, taking bold action before you feel ready is about trusting yourself enough to act despite uncertainty. It's about understanding that clarity often comes after action, not before it. The more you practice this, the more you realize that the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is often just a willingness to step forward while others are still waiting for the perfect moment. The people you spend the most time with shape the way you think, and the way you think shapes the life you live. Human beings are deeply influenced by their environment, often without realizing it. If you spend your days surrounded by people who complain, who blame others for their problems, who always find reasons why something cannot be done, you will slowly start to think the same way. Negativity is contagious, but so is positivity, ambition, and curiosity. This is why changing your environment can completely transform your mindset. And when your mindset changes, your results change. Your environment is not just the physical space you live in, but also the conversations you have, the information you consume, and the people you interact with daily. Every piece of input you allow into your mind leaves a mark. If your conversations are mostly about gossip or complaints, your mind becomes trained to focus on problems instead of solutions. If your social media feed is filled with distractions, arguments, and meaningless content, your brain is constantly being fed low-value information. Over time, these small inputs shape your beliefs, your motivation, and even your confidence. On the other hand, when you are surrounded by people who set goals, work hard, share ideas, and push themselves to grow, you naturally start thinking bigger and aiming higher. One of the fastest ways to accelerate your personal growth is to intentionally put yourself in environments where you are not the smartest or most skilled person in the room. At first, this may feel uncomfortable because it forces you to see how much you still have to learn. But that discomfort is exactly what helps you grow. Being around people who are ahead of you in knowledge, discipline, or achievement creates a natural pull forward. You begin to adopt their habits, their language, and their way of approaching challenges without even realizing it. You start setting higher standards for yourself because the environment makes it normal to aim higher. It's also important to protect your mental space from negative influences. Sometimes the environment that holds you back is not a group of strangers, but the people closest to you. This does not mean you must cut off every friend or family member who is negative, but you must set boundaries. You can choose to limit the time and energy you give to conversations that drain you. Instead, invest more time in relationships that challenge you, inspire you, and make you want to improve. This could mean joining professional networks, masterminds, or online communities that align with your goals. Even if you do not have access to such people in your daily life, you can create a positive mental environment by learning from books, podcasts, and videos from individuals you admire. The concept of proximity as power applies strongly here. Imagine two people who start at the same skill level. One spends most of their time with others who are unmotivated and constantly making excuses. The other spends their time around people who are ambitious, disciplined, and focused. After a year, their mindsets and results will be completely different even if they started in the same place. This is because the environment acts like a mirror. It reflects back to you what is normal. If laziness is normal in your circle, you will adopt it without questioning. If excellence is normal, you will rise to meet it. Another way your environment shapes your thinking is through shared language and perspective. High-achieving groups often use language that assumes possibility. How can we make this work instead of this is impossible? They focus on solutions, not problems. They see failure as feedback, not as a dead end. When you are constantly exposed to this way of thinking, it rewires your own approach to challenges. Instead of giving up at the first sign of difficulty, you start asking better questions, looking for creative solutions, and persisting until you find a way forward. This shift in thinking has a direct impact on your actions and results. Your physical environment also plays a role in shaping your habits and mindset. If your workspace is messy, full of distractions, and uncomfortable, it becomes harder to focus and be productive. If your home is filled with clutter, it can create mental stress without you realizing it. On the other hand, a clean, organized space can boost your energy and clarity. Small changes like keeping a dedicated area for work, adding inspiring visuals, or removing distractions can significantly improve your focus and creativity. Your surroundings should be designed to support the kind of person you want to become, not the habits you want to leave behind. The influence of your environment extends beyond motivation. It affects your identity. If you identify as part of a group that values learning, hard work, and resilience, you are more likely to adopt those traits yourself because you want to belong. Humans are wired for belonging, and we naturally adapt to the behaviors of the groups we are part of. This is why joining the right environment can make personal growth feel easier and more natural. You are not forcing yourself to change in isolation. You are simply aligning yourself with the culture of the group. Changing your environment does not always require moving to a new city or finding a completely new group of friends. It can start with small intentional steps. Replace some of your daily content consumption with educational or inspiring material. Schedule regular time with people who are positive and goal-driven. Attend events, even virtually, where the conversations are about growth and opportunity. Slowly, these changes shift your mental environment, and that shift influences your actions and decisions. When your thinking changes, you start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to believe that improvement is possible not just for others, but for yourself. You approach problems with curiosity instead of fear. You take action because you are surrounded by people who take action over time. These new patterns of thought and behavior lead to better results. It all begins with the choice to shape your environment so that it supports your goals instead of holding you back. The more intentionally you design your surroundings, both physical and mental, the more naturally success-oriented thinking becomes part of who you